All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, in this one, I wanted to really give my, stat prediction for Aaron Rodgers for this upcoming season, right? Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, he's probably like a top three, if not the most talented quarterback at the helm for the New York Jets in franchise history, right? Like, he is that good. Assuming that the offensive line performs better, assuming that we have some better coaching from Hackett, from Saleh, as far as overall game planning, play calling, and whatnot. And of course, I do know there's this big storyline that the Jets feel confident in Rodgers' abilities to change Hackett's plays to the line of scrimmage. So we'll see how that plays out. But let's just cut right to the chase, right? What are my stat predictions? And by the way, I would love to hear yours down below in the comment section. Do you think he's going to do well? Do you think he's not going to do well? So basically, just to keep things simple, I'm going to do touchdowns, interceptions, yards, and completion percentage. So let's start it off with yards. I'm thinking 4,200 passing yards. I think in this day and age, with the extra regular season game, understanding that we have dynamic running backs to just flip the football to in screens and whatnot, as well as Garrett Wilson, right, one of the top young wide receivers in football, a nice, solid, safe tight end room, as well as a wild card of Mike Williams. Those to me are going to be like the main mouths to feed offensively, right? And again, I am assuming that Mike Williams is going to be healthy, but that's a pretty nice, core, right? That like if you're going into a season with Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, right? You got a couple young rookie running backs coming in as well, along with Garrett and Mike Williams. Like, that's solid. Then you factor in Xavier Gibson. Then you factor in rookie Malachi Corley. We'll see if Alan Lazard bounces back. That's a big question mark. But I guess it's possible. We've seen crazier stuff happen. And I also think with the upgrades on the offensive line, Rodgers should theoretically have more time to sit back there in the pocket and deliver clean footballs. I think in this day and age, 4,200 yards is a realistic number. Although Rodgers, throughout the course of his career, has never really been the biggest yards type of quarterback, right? He's never really, been that guy to throw for, 4,800 passing yards. The most Rodgers has ever thrown for was back in 2011, 4,643. And then he's had a couple seasons where he's eclipsed over 4,400 back in 2016, 2018. And then he also had one back in 2009 where he threw for 4,434. So again, I'm expecting much of the same in that category when it just comes to passing yards. 4,200. Next up, touchdown to INT ratio. I'm going 30 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Now, you could be thinking 30 touchdowns isn't a ton, especially again in this day and age with all the passing, all the rules being tailored towards offensive success. We have the extra regular season game thrown in there. We've seen, Rodgers obviously eclipse 30 plus touchdowns easily, really throughout the course of his career. But, why would it be maybe lower in this one? Well, first off, 30 touchdowns is still remarkable, right? I think we could actually look back to last season. Jared Goff had 30 passing touchdowns on the year and was 5th in the NFL. The only players in front of him, Brock Purdy at 31, Jordan Love at 32, and Dak Prescott at 36. So for me, I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers is going to be sitting around that early or that late 30s, 30, 31, 32, maybe late 20s. 28, 27, 28, 29, somewhere in that range, I think is totally fair for Rodgers. Coming off the Achilles at 40 years old, but more importantly, I really believe that the Jets are going to be leaning a lot on their offensive line based off of the offensive line acquisitions. Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, John Simpson, AVT coming back, Joe Tippmann going into year 2, drafting Olu Fashanu. We have really got a lot of talent here in this starting 5. We've also added depth, which I'm really excited about. But, you look at the play styles of these guys, excluding Olu and Tyron Smith, specifically John Simpson and Morgan Moses. These guys are road graders in the running game. They're nasty, they're aggressive. And then you pair that with the Jets draft drafting Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. And we already have 2 other young running backs on the roster. We go ahead and we sign Tariq Cohen. there's a clear, reading the tea leaves, if you will, it's pretty obvious. The New York Jets want to get back to running the football a lot. We also saw how much Nathaniel Hackett called play action a year ago. I mean, felt like it was, multiple times every drive. So if we could get the running game going, feeding these young backs, better offensive line protection, not only just in the running game, but also in pass pro, I think that's really going to open Aaron up in the play action game. And as far as the 8 interceptions are concerned, Rodgers has never been the type of quarterback to throw tons and tons of picks, making horrible decisions all year. He might have a bad game here or there, or a game where he's just, he just looks off and he's trying to force things, and guys maybe aren't making plays around him, so he feels the need to play hero ball. Therefore, he's chucking the ball into double coverage. The ball is sailing on him. We've seen those games before. But again, when you have a guy like Garrett, when you have a safe tight end room, when you are familiar with the OC and what you're trying to do offensively, a better offensive line, a bunch of young backs that you can hand the ball off to, I don't really get the sense. Also, a great defense. Is Rodgers really going to be stepping back, throwing it 40 times per game? Is he really going to feel the need to push the ball down the field, keep pushing? No, I don't really get that sense. It's more so, it's a situation to me where Rodgers can almost lean into the talent, right? Again, the talent on defense, the talent on offense. And I just don't really see a situation where, A-Rod is going to be throwing 15, 16, 17 picks in a year. I mean, that's like crazy talk, right? So again, 4,200 passing yards, around that 29, 30, 31 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. And then as far as the completion percentage goes, I'm thinking pretty high. I'm thinking 66 to 67. That's, again, to me, totally fair here. Not anything crazy where we're, above 70%. I don't want to go that far. Because we do take a look at the current wide receiver depth chart. Lazard, obviously, drop problem. We don't really know what to expect from Malachi Corley. Xavier Gibson hasn't really shown any sort of concerns about dropping the football or being confused with what route to run exactly. Garrett's going to do his thing, but he does have the occasional drop. I feel like maybe one drop every couple games with Garrett, or at least that's what the case has been through the first 2 years of his career. But I think overall, Aaron's going to have a fantastic season, of course, barring health. But look, if he's out there and we have a loaded offensive line, guys are, and I hate to keep coming back to the word health here, but it's just so important. If Garrett Wilson gets banged up in training camp and Mike Williams isn't ready, all of a sudden we have one of the worst receiving corps in football, or I guess maybe one of the most unproven in football. So that's how much health matters. That is how much health matters here. So let me know your stats down below in the comment section. I'm really excited to jump in the comments and check them out. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.